Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to the live stream for today. I'm super excited about today's topic, why muscle recovery matters after 45 years of age. I am Liz Philippone, and I help people stay strong, confident, and independent by combining evidence-based training and mindful movement and nervous system support. I'm a multi-certified professional and fitness and yoga professional. Needed to put that in there, right? Specializing in strength, mobility, and corrective exercise for midlife to older adults. My approach focuses on building resilience, not perfection, so clients can move better, reduce pain, and continue doing what they love to do for years to come. That is me and what I do. I'm also the moderator of the private Facebook group, Mindfully Fit for Life. And of course, if you're watching on my YouTube channel here, thank you so much for being here. I would love for you to like, subscribe. If you're already a subscriber, great. Hit the like button. Okay, that really does help bring my content to the platform, to the feed a little bit more, even on Facebook as well. So liking it helps me. And of course, please subscribe. Hello, Corey. I see you're tuning in live. If you're tuning in live, please say hello. I would love to hear from you. And we're going to get started. I'm super excited to share about this topic. Last week, I talked about why protein matters after 45 years old. The week before that, I talked about why muscle health matters after 45 years old. So if you missed any of those, just go ahead and go back on my YouTube channel. It's under the live video section. And then, of course, if you're in my Facebook group feed, you just kind of scroll down a little bit or type in any of those titles in there. I definitely try to share those links again, so you're not scrolling like forever, right? Because scrolling just goes on and on and on. So please stay for the end of this. If you're watching the replay, please type hashtag replay. All right, so I know that you did watch this at another time. So recovery becomes just as important as the workout itself. I'm going to start with that statement because, like I said, I've been talking about the last couple of weeks. I've been talking about strength, stimulus, protein. And one of the things that we don't realize is that when we get into our 40s and beyond, recovery becomes like the most important thing, not just the exercise, not just the workout. Okay. And this is where a lot of confusion comes in, okay, with this thing, right? Especially around supplements like creatine and collagen, because those are the two things I'm going to talk about today is creatine and collagen. And, I know there's so many, what I'm going to say, people, practitioners on social media and commercials, preaching that this is the best product, right? All I do is I just share what products work for me. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that at the end of this live stream. But, I pretty much share what my experience is, both positive and negative, right, with certain products that I use. So, when you hear, let me ask you this question. It's a question I've asked my community. When you hear creatine or collagen, what comes to mind? Right? What comes to mind? Are you just confused? You're not sure what they are, or you know what they are and you already use them, or you have used them and they're helpful, not helpful? Give me your answer in the comments. I would love to know. Do it right now. Okay, so quick recap. There's three things about muscle health, right? I talked about that 2 weeks ago. Strength stimulus, when we challenge the muscle, right? It's all about changing the muscle, right? You got to stimulate it. You got to stimulate the muscles. protein intake, and then I'm going to be talking about recovery support today. Today, we're focusing on that third piece. Okay, and why does recovery matter after 45 years old? I'm just going to go right into this and unpack this. Is it soreness? Sometimes the soreness that we feel from anything, I'm not just saying workouts or strength training, anything, I'm going to attest to that. Soreness feels like it lasts a little longer. Okay. It might not be as intense sometimes, or it might be super intense. Your joints feel a little stiffer. Energy doesn't bounce back as quickly as we would love it to bounce back, right? We start to think of a time like, oh my God, I used to bounce back like that. And then workouts just start to feel harder. Sometimes, I'm not saying harder, but workouts feel harder to recover from, right? We go work out, especially if it's been a while, and then we're like taking like days to recover when maybe all we needed was like a day, right? When we were a little bit younger. So I'm just going to explain this quite simply. As we age, muscle repair slows down, connective tissue becomes less resilient, and the body needs more support to bounce back. Okay. If you don't know what connective tissue is, it's also known as fascia. All right. It starts at the top of our heads. It's like internal, and it goes all over everything, all the way to the bottoms of our feet. It wraps around organs. It wraps around muscles, joints, ligaments, right? It's when things get tight, that's usually what's getting tight. It requires hydration, right? I'm not going to go into hydration, but the stiffness, right? Our connective tissue, it just gets stiffer as we get older, right? It becomes less resilient. It doesn't bounce back like it used to, right? Just as, energy, right? It all kind of ties in together. So it's not about doing less. Okay. Recovery is not about doing less. It's about supporting your body better. Okay. And maybe on the physical side, right, before I get into like the creatine and the collagen, right, those two things, sometimes a walk, that's recovery time, because you're circulating, right? You're circulating, you're getting more circulation in the body, getting some of that lactic acid flushing out. I just mentioned hydration, right? Whether that's water, or maybe you do, I'm going to just tell you this, foam rolling, that is actually a way of hydrating your connective tissues, believe it or not, just like a massage is a way of hydrating your connective tissues to really just kick that blood flow back into the body after it being worked. So walking, stretching, right? And I'm not saying like go to an hour-long yoga class. If you're not a yoga person, don't go to a yoga class. But definitely learn stretches, right? Maybe from a fitness instructor, from a class you take, from a trainer. Maybe you go online, right? A lot of people go on YouTube now to just find stretches for specific ailments. Stretch, even if it's for 5 minutes. Okay, 5 minutes will really add up. And then you return to your workouts. You're going to be raring and ready to go. I'm just going to take one moment to just share that I'm a dancer. I've been dancing since I was like 5, 6 years old. And it's something that, I've always come back to. Danced for years, all the way up and through high school. And then, I took a little hiatus when I got to college, and then I picked it back up again after college, and just so on and so forth. I would always always found my way back to dance, because that's what feeds my soul, that piece of movement and creativity and art. And I've noticed, and I go to adult dance classes, some of the students are actually older than me, like a lot older than me, actually. I'm talking like 70 years old, and then falls in between like, mid 40s, some younger, but mid 40s. That's like the prime age. I'm just telling you, 45 plus at these dance classes. And I mean, I feel it. I feel it so much. And I'm very active. I'm an active person. But lately, I've been feeling it. And what I know now, what I need to do, no matter how tired I am, when I get home from class, which is in the evening, I get home from class, I stretch. I do 5 minutes of stretching. Okay. I have like my 3 go-to moves that I do. And when I do just that 5 minutes of stretching, I sleep better. I wake up less stiff. Only because what did I do? I gave myself a moment to downregulate my nervous system, get on the floor, stretch my muscles out, and then I felt more looser. I felt like, okay, blood flow, bring it to those areas that I know I'm feeling right now and I know I'm going to feel tomorrow, like my hips, my back, sometimes my shoulders, right? I'm doing it. No matter how tired I am, I'm doing it. And I don't know what I would do if I did. I know when I have skipped, I feel it the next day. So it's definitely changing. I have to change how I move, right? And I've talked about this in other live streams where it's like, even in my workouts, I have to modify now. Certain ways I modify because my body is different now. And hey, I want to be doing stuff for many years to come. So I just wanted to take that moment to share that. If there's stuff you still want to do or start to do, you got to take care of your body, right? Which is when I go into my next piece here, my next tip and piece of information, and creatine. I know I've talked about it before. You can go back to other live streams that I've done on YouTube. I talked about it for a whole month. Really geared around women mostly, but it applies to men as well. What is creatine? All right, it's a naturally occurring compound that helps produce energy in your cells. All right, it supports strength output, muscle performance, recovery between workouts and other activity. And now they're finding research into brain health with cognition and clarity. So cognitive clarity. It is really getting researched now and linked to brain health. How cool is that? How cool is that? But it's also important, right? It is one of the most researched supplements available now, included for women and older adults. Okay, it's not just for bodybuilders. All right, it used to be like a whole bodybuilding thing. That was my mindset about creatine, was that that stuff's only for bodybuilders. I'm not a bodybuilder. It's totally not that. So think of creatine as supporting the engine of the muscle. Yeah, I mean, your whole body is like a machine, right? This is what keeps it going. The organs, the brain, the heart, like all those vital keeps your body moving like an engine, right? But think of like creatine, it's gassing up your muscles. Does that make sense? And it's also making our brains just more resilient, I guess you could say. Yeah. So it's not just for bodybuilders anymore. Then there's collagen, all right? And this goes into more structure. So collagen, it's a natural occurring compound in the body, a protein that supports connective tissue, right? I talked about connective tissue at the beginning of this live. The connective tissue, which supports tendons, ligaments, joints, fascia, which is another word for connective tissue. I call it the saran wrap of the body, the protective saran wrap around all our organs and tendons and ligaments and joints, muscles, and it just wraps all around. And when that stuff gets tight, right, it forms those little knots, that if you ever go for a massage or you're like feeling your shoulders and you're like, what is that? Like I feel something right now. That's fascia, just all bundled up, right? from overuse, tension, things like that. So if protein, which I talked about last week, if protein builds the muscle fibers, right, supports that strength gain and recovery, collagen supports the structure around the muscle fibers. Does that make sense? I really want you to tell me if this makes sense. If it doesn't, please comment. Explain more, Liz. I'm happy to go into deeper with that. Okay, so this is especially important if you've ever felt joint discomfort, stiffness, or hesitation with movement. All right, I have last year, I think it was in May, end of May or so, I strained something in my right hip. You know, I ended up getting an x-ray because I couldn't put weight on it. I injured myself in dance. I was just going all out thinking I was 16, 18 years old, right? I went all out in a rehearsal and I couldn't walk after that class. I woke up, I still couldn't walk and put weight on that hip. It was very scary. It was very scary. And yeah, it was just like, okay, I don't know what's going on. And I did get an x-ray. And by the time I was getting the x-ray, it was feeling better, but it's always good to get checked out, right? So I definitely was feeling the joint discomfort, the stiffness, but I was also hesitant to move. So I was really taking it slow, right? Because it took like a week, a little bit more, for it not only to feel better, but for me mentally to feel confident, to be like, okay, I think I can do this recital coming up. But it really made me shift, you know, my way of how I'm supporting my body and what else more can I do to support my body, my joints, right? So putting this all together, I know that was a lot of information. So putting all of that together, here's how it all connects, okay? Strength training, and I'm telling you with how everything connects. This is the third, so these 3 live stream trainings that I have done, this is how it all connects, okay? You ready? Strength training stimulates your muscle, okay? Protein rebuilds muscle. Creatine supports energy and performance. Collagen supports joints and connective tissue, all right? It all weaves in together. So this is what I mean by supporting smarter, not just pushing harder. Yeah? Or I should say supporting harder. I don't know. But yeah, so feeling steady, moving confidently, recovering well, that's what allows you to stay active for the long term, for the long game, right? All right. So all of these tools, right, they can be very helpful, all right, but they're not required, okay? You have to take those medical considerations first, all right, especially with supplementation. Check with your doctor. I know with creatine, there is contraindications with those with kidney and liver, I'm just gonna call them situations, okay? If you have anything like that, it's not recommended. However, there's other things you can do to support, right, your body. And every individual varies, right? So please check with your doctor. You know, and my goal here is never to push supplements. Okay, it's just to help you understand your options and what I use, right? I actually use creatine, I use collagen. I've been using protein for years now, you know, different protein. I've been upping my protein too. It's something that is a gradual process. And again, you try these things, you feel them out, but you also check with your doctor. You don't feel right taking, after a while you're taking it, you don't feel right, you stop taking it, right? You stop taking it. All right, so I am going to talk about all of these, but I do want to invite you to answer this. Which one of these are you most curious about? Is it protein, creatine, or collagen? Or is it all of them? Of course, I am going to mention all of them, but I just want to know right off the bat, like, what is like the one that really is just like, oh, I want more about that than the other. Okay. So, So before I close, I'm going to talk about, and I've talked about it before, this product that I've been using called Longevity Core Plus. It's by the company Human Grace. They are a company that is all about hormone support, not just for women, but men too. And what's great about this product is it delivers these 3 things that I've talked about: protein, creatine, and collagen. But it's not for everybody, right? Because not everybody can take collagen, or I'm sorry, creatine, right? So what is Longevity Core Plus? I've been drinking this probably since January, and I've had my ups and downs with it. And I mean ups and downs, the taste. Okay, I'm gonna be completely transparent. The taste, it just kind of put me off when I first started drinking it, okay? It's like a raspberry drink. It's not a shake. It's a very light drink. It basically is, in a nutshell, a clear, hydrating protein, which is intentionally designed for performance longevity. So it has this dual protein system, and it's with clinically effective 5 grams dose of creatine to support strength, resilience, and long-term longevity. All right, I know that was like a mouthful right there, but it includes clear whey protein, creatine monohydrate, and bovine collagen. All right, I hate to, I'm sad to say this is not a plant-based product. Okay, so if you're plant-based, I'm sorry, this is not a plant-based product. So there's that little side note. And with creatine monohydrate, it can be dehydrating if you have too much creatine. That's why they only put like the 5 grams in there. Okay. Like I said, it helps with brain health, sharper thinking and focus. That brain fog, I know a lot of you women out there know what I'm talking about. Brain fog, short-term memory, perimenopausal symptoms as well, and then mood regulation. Sleep quality as well. Sleep quality and recovery go hand in hand. If we're not sleeping well, our muscles can't repair, our bodies can't rest properly, even our brains too. So when you have better sleep quality and recovery time, it helps build more muscle, okay, if you are strength training, to give you a better, healthier metabolism, right? Because we know that, if we weight train, it does help our metabolism. I talked about that last week about protein. It does balance your metabolism. So the protein in this drink is very, it adheres to that. All right. Also hormone balance, right? Fluctuations due to aging. It doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man, your hormones are fluctuating. All right. Because as we get older, some reduce, some decrease, right? We need that support. That's why I like this company, because they're they really strict about their ingredients. They do third-party testing, all that stuff. So it really supports the brain by powering neurons, right? The neurons are your nerve cells, or not your nerve cells, just your cells, right? Your cell biology, which improves memory, protects the brain cells, right, from decrease and damage. So each one of these ingredients, the clear whey protein, the creatine, and the bovine collagen, each targets the biological systems that naturally decline with age. Okay, the biological systems, whether that's neuromuscular, skeletal, neuromuscular, or just neurological, endocrine, the endocrinology, right? I can't think. the endocrine system. I'm going to say it like that. The endocrine system, the reproductive system, cardiovascular system, right? All the biological systems of the body, these target, right, that naturally decline with age. It's not like we're reversing aging. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not making that statement. It supports your body while you age. The whey isolate supports the muscle protein synthesis. The collagen supports the connective tissue. Also for skin elasticity and hair, I have been noticing, and people have been telling me, like, what are you doing with your hair? I've been getting compliments with my hair. My hair just lives, right, the way it does. I don't do anything special to it. But I have noticed it's softer, and I'm get these little pieces sort of at the top popping up because it's like hair growth, which is like, what? So I know that that's what the collagen is doing. Yeah, and then my skin too. I've been like happy about my skin for sure. And then the creatine fuels, your muscles for strength, for recovery, and then cognitive function. Okay, but if that I know I spent a lot of time on that one product just because it's got like this 3 triple dual system. If you're not a whey protein person, which I thought I wasn't, this stuff is actually not bad, but it's very light. It's a very light drink. But if creatine is not on the list for you, there are other products such as the triple boost protein. I talked about this last week. All right. It's like it's a pea protein, right? This is plant-based, comes in vanilla and chocolate. It's a pea protein with this blue superfood, spirulina. You've heard of spirulina, but it's blue, which is really cool. But why is it blue? I'll get into that in a moment. But it's a powerhouse of antioxidants, right? Antioxidants, right? Which fight free radicals in the body, reduce inflammation, support immune health, and promote cellular regeneration. And I have to say, this company, Hue and Grace, their ingredients, like this blue superfood, the blue spirulina, it actually comes from Iceland. They get it from Iceland. And a lot of the rest of their ingredients come up through Canada. And as we know, most other countries, they are very careful of the ingredients that they put in products that, they don't want these products to be harmful. They want to make sure they're tested and they're not going to hurt people. In our country, it's just, they can put anything on the shelf and call it a product, right? So that's one of the reasons why I like these products. But with the triple boost protein, it's also packed with essential nutrients like B vitamins, iron, and amino acids. So you're going to get that energy, that detox support, and hormonal balance. So if you are interested in talking more about these products, or you've listened to these live streams enough where you've heard me talk about these products that you're just like, Liz, I'm sold. I want to buy this. Comment drink in the comments. Okay, because I can hook you up with a promo code where you get $10 off your first order. All right. So I'm happy to break this down for you. All right, so that is it. That is my last of this series that I've been talking about muscle health, protein, and muscle recovery. So, remember, muscle health after 45, it's not about the extremes. Okay, we did that when we were younger, but it's really about giving your body the support it needs to stay strong, steady, and capable. All right, so have a great day, everybody. Again, comment drink if you want to get more information about those products. All right, everyone, have a great day, and thank you.